I made a conscious decision that I am not going to be watching Sinners. Now, I know for most of y'all, you could give less of a damn, but for some of y'all, you do. So we're here for it. First and foremost, I actually am a fan of Michael B. Jordan, at least some of his work, right? I love what him and Ryan have done in the Creed series. I've always been a Rocky fan, so Creed was a very special thing for me. I watched all three of them, and I watched two of them at least 3 to 4 times, right? I love the montages and the sequence. I've always been more into like the training aspect and the becoming story and things of that nature. So that got me going. Love that movie. I was a fan of the first Black Panther. I didn't watch the second one. I wasn't interested. I wanted to see Chadwick be the Black Panther. And if they find another Black Panther to be that instead of, creating this super woke version, because there's already woke elements in it, but to create the super woke version, oh, we're going to give it to the girls now. And it's like, okay, cool. That's perfectly fine. But this was the Black Panther I signed up for. That's the character. So I love Michael B. Jordan and that. He did a fantastic job as Killmonger. But when it came to Sinners, I already had my skepticism in place there, because when I first started to kind of hear about the storyline and the plot and things of that nature, do my own research, I quickly caught on to the fact that this was another propaganda piece, right? These are guys who started their careers with Fruitvale Station, and being raised in the Bay Area, this was a story that all of us heard. This was one of those early BLM type of stories, right? That was perpetuated throughout the media, etc. Black man, life is taken by, white police officers, etc. So that was a movie that, I did see back in the day. And at the time, I still had a lot of that woke ideology in me. I was still, ashwagandha, Wakanda. I was still on that type of timing. But by the time that Sinners came out, which is quite recently, I've been in a place where I am not willing to support the perpetual propaganda that is keeping Black people behind. I am tired of the slave narratives. I'm tired of, the Jim Crow stories. I recently saw the Green Book because I didn't know, the full story, the context, etc. And it was a great story. It is a phenomenal story per se, but it still had those elements. And that must have been the last movie that I saw with that injected into it. The 12 Years a Slave, The Color Purple. Every single damn Black movie has to have that in it. Why? Is it not okay to have a Black Adam Sandler? You know what I mean? Because back in the 90s, we had a diversity of shows with quote unquote Black faces, with quote unquote representation. Right. I've said this in videos past, and I'll say it again. We had the likes of the Martins all the way to, My Wife and Kids. We had shows galore. Every comedian got their own show, whether it lasted or not. That was depending on whether people were tuning in. We had Moesha. There was shows that y'all don't even probably remember, like It's Just Jordan. You know what I mean? Everywhere we had these type of shows, and there was a lot of comedies, etc. But those were the types of stories that we were gravitating towards most. That was the way in which we were expressing ourselves. And then we had the what I would call, I guess, the Jordan Peelification of films, where it was to do serious films, it was to do horror flicks and that sort of thing, but infusing this racial narrative into them. And again, I would have no problem if it was genuinely from just a place of creativity. But the fact that this is the only story and the only experience that is being shared, even though Mr. Bill Cosby himself is a degenerate human being, the Cosbys had for all the folks who are obsessed with the representation part, it had some of the best representation qualities, to the point where Black enrollment into university spiked because of that show. You could see something, and if you needed that to be your inspiration, maybe you didn't have it in the household like we're supposed to have it in the household, but unfortunately, you may have not, and so there's your quote unquote role models, and so you model yourself after that. Now, the problem I have with this, the biggest problem I have, the biggest conflict, is the fact that it keeps us stuck. And I don't just mean us, I mean us as all human beings. The victim story keeps us stuck. continuously telling the same story of how we were oppressed and how this and that happened to us, and even having these, revenge corn. Oh, that's when we have power, when we're overcoming the white man. You are giving that quote unquote white man so much damn power. Sinners is giving, it's the white devil, literally the white devil. I know enough to know that, right? And there's going to be folks out there because y'all love that movie so much. Oh, but you don't understand. It was the perfect movie. It was perfect cinema. It might have been a great film. I don't know. I probably will never know, right? Again, I've made the decision. I'm not going to theaters to watch it. If it's on Netflix or whatever other platform it may be on, I'm not interested. I'm cool off of having that into my psyche and me allowing that without a skeptical eye. And not even getting into the factor of the spiritual components of it, right? How they're pushing this quote unquote spirituality that is organic to black folks, etc. The voodoo, and all that sort of nonsense. And if you're into that, that's your prerogative. That's your damn business. I'm not. Right. So I'm not going to saturate my spirit with that type of nonsense, as well as the victim nonsense. I'm cool off that. I'm cool off those stories. I want to hear the genuine, empowering stories. Again, when you watch a lot of these quote unquote white films, a lot of them are even being hijacked in the Disney sphere, etc. They recently had to cancel their live action version of Rapunzel or Tangled because they were about to get a damn race switch for this blonde, long let down your hair ass story. Now, maybe if it was let down your dreads, that would be relatable. That would be real. But it's like, why not create your own princess? Why not create your own story? Why not create your own characters? It's insulting to say that you don't have enough creativity, because you do. You are talented enough to create your own. And so when you have an original narrative like Sinners, quote unquote original narrative like Sinners, it is unfortunate that that is used as nothing more than a basic propaganda piece. So if we want true representation that is impactful, that is going to make the difference, it should be representation of whatever it is that we want to essentially induce. Like, one of my favorite stories is Pursuit of Happiness. I've watched that movie maybe 10 times. I'm that kind of guy. I get obsessive about a story or whatever it is. And I'm, as you can probably tell if you've been on my channel, when I'm into something, I sink my teeth into it, right? My pop said I watched The Lion King probably 100 times when I was a kid. I would come home every day from school as a kid and turn The Lion King on like I had never seen the movie before, right? Shark Tale. I watched that movie so many times I memorized the entire thing. I did a play one time that was Shark Tale play, and they had to stop me from saying everybody else's lines, even when they forgot them, because I had memorized the entire thing. Word for damn word, obsessive. So I watched The Pursuit of Happiness, and it is an inspiring story, a come-up story. And it's a real story, right? But you didn't see components in there of, oh, this man is held down by slavery. Oh, this man is held down by this, held down by that. But guess what? You have one pursuit of happiness for every 10 sinners, right? Induced with a secret coding of it's really about race. It's really about, that was pursuit of happiness literally show you the opposite. It's like, we can all work together. This was a black man in America in a white corporate world that found success in spite of all things. He overcame, and he didn't have to have some type of revenge fantasy in order to fulfill that. He didn't have to, take out Massa Candy and whoever else it was in order to fulfill that. Though, again, I thought Django was a great film. I've watched that a few times. That was back in the day before I came to a full point of clarity to say, what type of messages are you allowing into your psyche? Are you continuing to perpetuate a narrative or a story that tells you that you are lesser than? Look what you were. Okay, you want more king stories? Then create more king stories. Create more Mansa Musa stories. Fantastic. I'm with that. Create more accurate stories. Don't make stuff up either, because there's a lot of made up shit that's going on around here. You know what I mean? The Egyptian folk are pissed off. Jada Pinkett said it doesn't matter. We're going to make her a black woman. And was I around for Cleopatra? No, I wasn't there. I wasn't present in Cleo's presence. But the Egyptian folks said, wait a minute, that is an inaccurate depiction of our queen. That's their business. You ain't got to lie. Just take your own, right? Just take your own. You could maybe do the Shaka Zulu, whatever it is, right? They're doing Napoleon. You can do Shaka Zulu. Perfect. But to continuously push this narrative of lesser than, because that's what you actually do. This is what you were. This is what you are. You're a lesser than. Look at the white supremacist system. Look at the white man. Look at the white man. Look at the white man. So sinners, again, there are things I'm not going to catch because I'm not watching the movie. But I know the over and undertone are that of race. They literally put it in the Jim Crow era in order for all of that to, to be, all these components to be present. The aspects of the Klan and things of that nature. Well, it's historically accurate. Yeah, but why always highlight that one piece of history if you speak of wanting true representation? And, I'm not even getting into positive representation in all of media as far as what is being perpetuated. And we love to blame, again, the white man, the little hat man, etc. But the reality is, who's the consumer of the product? It's like I talk about Sexy Red. Sexy Red exists because there's a consumer willing to consume Sexy Red's material, content, etc. It's the only way that machine works. And so whoever's behind it and who's willing to profit off of it, well, the Sexy Red and whoever else she's partnered with. If it's the label and whoever those people are, so be it. But we have to be the ones to decide, are we going to opt in or not? And so that's why I opted out. I opted out because I'm sick and tired of that. I am really over it. I'm not interested. It could be a phenomenal movie as far as cinematography, etc., but I'm cool. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.